We are back under a KREM 2 weather impact alert. It seems like we just can't escape these. This one, however, is a big deal. We've been talking about this since last week. You might have heard me talking about it more specifically since Sunday. We knew this was going to be a big wind maker. This incoming storm had everything it takes to be one. Now that we know it's here, it looks like our wind gusts will near 70 miles per hour here in the inland northwest, and maybe even top 70 miles per hour. Our strongest winds are going to be from 10 p.m. to tonight, just an hour. This is recorded at 9 p.m. on Tuesday night. So from 10 p.m. until 4 p.m. tomorrow. That's when we are going to see our more devastating wind gusts out of this. Widespread wind damage and power outages are likely. High wind warnings in effect for that time, 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. There's a big difference between wind advisories, what we've seen in recent days and weeks, and wind warnings. A high wind warning is when we're in that realm where damage is more likely. It's a big difference from an advisory. An advisory is hey, there might be something that happens with the wind moving through. A warning is there is going to be something that happens and it is going to be impactful. Our warnings stretch from the lee side of the Cascades all the way through into Montana, all the way down into Oregon, and all the way down into southern Idaho. They are very widespread, and this is going to be a big deal. We know this is going to happen. The warnings themselves run that same time. 10 p.m. tonight to 4 p.m. tomorrow. Strongest gusts in there are likely going to be between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. By 9 a.m., we are going to be on the backside, but it is going to stay windy all day tomorrow. Remember the 4 p.m. here? There's a reason why, and we'll get to that in a second, and another reason why we don't have anything for the crest of the Cascades. You're going, it's up in the mountains, there's going to be wind. And of course there is going to be wind up in the mountains, and it is going to play a role in what we wind up seeing there. Once again, we'll get to that in a second. Wind cranks up overnight, so 9 p.m., 24-ish mile per hour gusts. That's what we've been seeing throughout the evening. By midnight, we're up in the 30s. By 4 a.m., we're up in the 40s. That's when we reach that wind advisory criterion, when we're seeing wind gusts up near 45 miles per hour. Then it quickly jumps. 5 to say 7 a.m., we're up over 60 miles per hour. That's where I think we're in that most dangerous realm, the 5 to 7 a.m. time frame. By 8 a.m., we're likely seeing some of our strongest gusts wind down and move out. By 9 a.m. or 10 a.m., we're back down to where we are by about 4 a.m., and then they stay there. Those wind gusts will stay in the 40 mile per hour range throughout much of the day. This is a big deal for us. So tonight, just know it is going to be breezy, even a bit windy at times. By the time 4 a.m. rolls around, you might wake up from some of the wind. That wind is going to start blowing early tomorrow, and when it starts ramping up around 4 a.m., it's more southwesterly. So it starts out southerly, then turns southwesterly, then eventually more westerly as we get into the heart of this wind event. Wind is going to gust from 60 to 70 miles per hour tomorrow morning. Remember, strongest gusts 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. That's when we are in the heart of it. Then it starts slowly tapering off. By tomorrow afternoon, it's no slouch though. Kind of incredible. In the afternoon, our wind gusts are still going to be up in the, say 40 to 50 mile per hour range. About where we were with some of our previous wind events that moved through in just the past couple of weeks. We did see damage out of those. We did see power knocked out of those. Not as widespread as what we'll see early tomorrow morning, but even throughout the afternoon, I think that threat of the damaging winds remains. Then as we move from Wednesday into Thursday, Thursday starts out relatively calm. A good chunk of the day winds up pretty nice, but Thursday night, we have yet another round of wind moving through, and it looks like those wind gusts will near 40 to 50 miles per hour. So we are not through this. In fact, I weather impact alerted Thursday as well for what is going to happen that day. And what is going to happen is a lot. There is a lot going on in the atmosphere. But let's just start with the winds, because I think those winds are a really big deal. When you have wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour, That's in a new realm. You're just seeing stronger wind gusts. That means your sustained wind runs higher. It means it is more frequent throughout the day. So even though a 60 or 70 mile per hour wind gust might be a 1 or 2 off thing that we see during the day, up closer to that 70 mile per hour range, our sustained winds will be as strong as our wind gusts were with those previous events last week and the week before. That little bit of a shift means that we never really catch a reprieve from some of those stronger winds, and then that damage is more widespread, and unfortunately it is likely leading to more power outages and more tree damage. For me, my biggest concern is a couple of trees on the north end of my yard. I'm not afraid of them falling, but I am going to just kind of alter my morning. I'm going to move everything to the south end of my house and just kind of hang out there. I don't think the tree is going to go down. It's made it through all the previous ones and it's totally fine. And it is probably going to be fine. In fact, I don't think anything's going to happen to it. Just going to move breakfast to the other side of the house to be safe. That's simple. It's that kind of thing tomorrow. Remember when we talked about the Cascades though? Blizzard warnings. Blizzard warnings are in effect for the Cascades. Basically that same area I just showed you on our wind warning map that was hollow, that's because we have blizzard warnings in effect. Winds will still gust at over 50 miles per hour, likely 50 to 60 miles per hour over the Cascade crest. What is most interesting about this is that since the National Weather Service in Seattle has existed, all the way back when, they have issued six blizzard warnings, or issued a blizzard warning on 6 different occasions. That's a better way of saying it. Basically, 6 storms that have moved in the past have met the criterion for a blizzard warning. Me as a meteorologist, most of what I have seen in places like the Dakotas or Colorado or Minnesota where I grew up, or even up in Alaska where I came from before I moved to Spokane back in 2020, when you get a blizzard warning, it's already happening. To anticipate a blizzard and warn it out ahead of time is crazy. And that's exactly what we're doing for not just 50 mile per hour winds, but 10 to 20 inches of snow falling on those mountain passes. Remember, we already have 2 that are closed, Washington Pass and Stevens Pass. Both those passes are already closed, one due to recent weather and one due to snow and just closing every single season. Now, it is very, very likely Snoqualmie Pass closes as well, because when you're talking near zero visibility, that's just not something crews can contend with and drivers can either. And we've even seen just an inch of snow already this season close down the entire pass. So, of note. Here's our storm. Storm's moving its way in. Potent frontal boundary. This is all of our energy right there. That energy is what is going to deliver such a big punch on the tail end of that storm. Here is our stream of moisture. Notice it's pretty cut off. It moves in, it was pretty prominent at first, and then quickly thereafter, our dry air moves in. That's the big energy. That's the energy that's going to make all of this wind happen. So when it comes to potential for this storm hitting, I think our biggest is going to be on the west side when it comes to rainfall and flooding, and even when it comes to snow up in the mountains. We do still have flood concerns, especially over on the west side. Flood watches remain in effect for basically everywhere from the Okanagan area all the way over into the west side, and some of those rivers still have not crested. I think for that reason, the rainfall is a much bigger deal out west. For us, we are still under flood watches. It isn't likely that we see the same extent of river rises that we saw last week. Reason being, we've already melted most of the snow up in the mountains, and remember that water vapor image not that long ago? We're just cutting off that moisture quite quickly as that storm moves in. So for us, it is kind of the other side of the spectrum. It's rain out in front of a big wind event, and that wind event is what we're mainly focused on. Widespread rain in northeast Washington and North Idaho at the 9 o'clock hour, but look at the west side. Here is our big band of moisture already moving in. That to me is a sign that things are developing the way we assumed they would. We're going to watch our rain move in tonight. It stays pretty heavy all night. turns to snow quite quickly. Look at the difference in snow levels at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. All coming down as snow up in the mountains of the Cascades. For us, still coming down as rain because we have that southerly aspect to our wind. But as we move from 4 a.m. to say 6 a.m., it's more westerly. And that shift is when we're going to see that big uptick in the wind. So watch what happens here. 4 a.m. rain. Quickly thereafter, all right, we break it up, move it up into the mountains, and even catch breaks in the clouds. The reason I think we hang on to that wind through a much longer portion of the day tomorrow is because we get sun to shine through, and sun will do a great job of causing mixing in the atmosphere, getting some of those stronger winds up high overhead to translate down to the surface. So I don't think we get on the backside of this as quickly as we otherwise would if we stayed cloudy or saw more moisture in the forecast. That's the reason we see such strong winds as this moves in. By Thursday, middle of the day, we have a decent shot of getting a little bit of snow. Snow moves through, but eventually it transitions into rain, likely after dark Thursday night, because wind shifts and we pull in more warmth from down to our south. As we move from Thursday into Friday, might even catch a little more sun. So there are chances of seeing sun this week, but each and every day also offers us some sort of precipitation and some sort of wind. It is a wild ride these next few days. West side getting hammered with another about an inch of rain. For us, about 1/3 of an inch, but some of that is actually going to come down as snow, even here in Spokane. Right now, forecast models have us at, less than an inch, and I tend to agree with that. But still, getting a little bit of snow on the backside of a wind event such as what we are going to see, a somewhat decent deal to me. Wind then picks up again Thursday evening as that rain moves out. We just kind of hang out in this pattern for a while. I'm not saying it's the same wind, definitely not going to be this same magnitude of wind event. However, I do think we stay breezy and wet as we move through this week and likely into next week as well. By the way, next week is Christmas week, and it looks to stay about where we expect to be running into the weekend. 46 degrees tomorrow comes with a whole lot of wind, and most of our moisture is moving through overnight. So by the time the sun comes up, we should already be on the backside of most of our rain down low and snow up high. Our weather impact alert runs through Thursday though. Thursday brings another round of precipitation, likely a little bit of snow, then likely a little bit of wind later in the day. If it wasn't for this big wind event tomorrow, Thursday would be kind of all right, whatever, maybe we see some snowflakes, no big deal. But on the heels of a big event such as what we are going to see tomorrow, I think it is just worth noting that Thursday doesn't calm down all that much. By Friday, maybe a peak of some sunshine and then a chance of rain and snow every day as we move through the weekend. It's interesting how it all plays out, but yeah, I think it's just a forecast worth keeping a close eye on, especially when it comes tomorrow morning. And we will have crews out on Up with KREM and on KREM 2 Plus all morning long, bringing you the latest and what to expect as this all unfolds. We'll have everything you need there, KREM 2 Plus, Channel 2, and KREM.com.